Ready, in this lap, use inlet button. Fuel only, fuel only. Are you okay, Olivier?
I have a lot of smoke coming out too. I couldn't start the car. I think I have the water on the tire.
Welcome back to viewers on Eurosport to the live coverage here of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We're approaching the 5 hours to go mark, and as you join us, you can see the KCMG car, which was in the lead of the LMP2 class and stopped surprisingly down at Arnage about 10 minutes ago. Still leading the class, but everybody else is giving chase. Julien Canal second in the number 28 Ligier, and that is the G-Drive closed coupe. In third place, the number 38 car, Mighty 38, the Jota Sport car, and another Kiwi, one that we haven't mentioned actually much so far this weekend. We mentioned Brendan Hartley, we've mentioned Bambi in the other Porsche, we've talked about Richie Stanaway. We sort of neglected the fact that Mitch Evans, another single-seater superstar from New Zealand, is in the Jota car, and that car lies third in the LMP2 class. Pipo Derani in fourth place in the number 28 Ligier. And the 48 car, the Murphy's car that was in third, is now down in fifth position in the class with Mark Patterson at the wheel. Martin Haven, Sam Hancock and Jeremy Shaw in the booth. Jeremy, you were about to make a point.
Was I?
No, you were pointing at something.
Yeah, just the Richard Bradley, that car number 47 for KCMG, the class leader, long-time class leader in P2. We sort of had some difficulties out at Arnage about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes ago. The car's back underway and is able to maintain its advantage. We've just now come in for a pit stop. I think Julien Canal was in the pits a little while ago as well, so they're kind of on the same strategy, and there's now 93 seconds between those two cars as Richard Bradley emerges from the pit lane.
Yeah, Timo Bernhard just coming into pit lane in front of our commentary booth right now from second place. And Jeremy, every time I look at the leaderboard and see a very small gap and a battle for position, and I get all excited about it, I've learned the hard way that I need to check in with you first to see if it's a sort of temporary blip created by pit stop sequences. I'm just looking at the GTE Pro class with still just 10 seconds between Tommy Milner in the Corvette and Tony Wielander's Ferrari at the head of that category.
It's been brilliant.
Now, what do we know about this battle? We know that the 99 Aston that was leading in the darkness had new brakes, and then they didn't seem to work very well, and it slammed into the Thierry car and took it out of the race and put itself out of the equation as well with front-end damage. We also know that there is still no Weisswurst for breakfast. What's going on, Audi? Come on, where's the Weisswurst? Oh, there they are. They're fine. Okay, good. Be over there in about 10 minutes. What we also know is that the Corvette...
Bring some back, please.
Yeah. What we also know is the Corvette had brake changes. The car that hasn't, or the two cars that haven't at the moment, are Tony Wielander's Ferrari in second, the number 51 car, and Jörg Bergmeister's Porsche in third place. At least I haven't seen Bergmeister's Porsche have brake changes. So you have the two big front-engine cars having brake changes, but the two mid-engine cars, the Porsche, okay, rear-engined, and the rear mid-engined Ferrari, have not had to have front brakes changed. So is it a factor of the heat of the front engine car, all of that huge powerhouse, that huge furnace in front, keeping the brakes a little too hot, or is it just that there's so much extra weight on the front wheels when they brake?
Yeah, it's just the weight. It's just the weight distribution of the cars. And although they do an incredible job to get the engines lower, leaner, lighter, and tucked as far back in the engine bay as they can, the fact is you've still got so much inertia on the braking pedal that the car's trying to slow down. And that's why the front brakes tend to be bigger in all cars, road and race cars anyway. They run at hotter temperatures. You run a little bit more brake bias to the front generally. Chuck an engine into that equation.
Yeah.
Definitely you're going to get extra brake wear versus a mid or rear engine car at the front.
Ooh, little moment there for the BR01. And again, kudos, both of those brand new cars, designed and built specifically for SMP, still running. First ever 24 hours, first ever race longer than 4 hours, in fact. They've done one ELMS race, and they, I think, struggled to finish that. So suddenly, these cars are just catapulted into a different league. During the night...
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those cars, haven't we, during the race? Yes. If I've been off the road or having problems or in the pit lane or whatever.
They've done their damnedest not to finish. Yeah. The drivers and the team are going, no, you are not coming back in, you're not retiring. Listen, very quickly, talking about the nighttime sequences between Audi and Porsche. Andre Lotterer saying this morning that Audi did not use the super soft nighttime rubber, and he thinks that they lost speed and time and position to Porsche because of that. Now, Audi have always made a point of using the softest rubber when the track is cooler. You can get away with it, it doesn't overheat. Maybe they felt this time that the pace of the cars is so high that they just couldn't get the 3 stints guaranteed that they needed. I don't know, maybe that's for the autopsy, but Andre Lotterer saying certainly that can't have helped.
Yeah, it's interesting that we don't know how much of a time differential there is between those two tyres, but nor do we know their longevity either. But what we do know is that Audi has been regularly running quadruple sets, so 4 full fuel loads on each set of Michelin tyres, and the Porsches have been matching that since yesterday evening, probably about 8 or 9 hours into the race, which is when we spoke to the Michelin engineer yesterday. What he was suggesting that they might go to the softer tyres overnight, but certainly that the cooler conditions in the evening would assist the Porsche.
It's a Murphy prototypes car.
Mark Patterson.
Mark Patterson at the wheel down at...
Oh, has he got tagged? Not quite. Almost, though.
That was weird. Was there contact there, or did he do that on his own?
No, I think he's...
Look.
No, he just rode the car.
That's weird, you know. That
was nearly the end of the race for the Corvette. I think he just rode up the curve as he was chasing. You know, with somebody in your mirrors like that, I think he might have been just keen to get off the corner and you know, get clear of the Corvette that was coming in like a bat out of hell. Non-damaging, it will only cost him a couple of fractions. And actually, do you know what? Mark Patterson again has managed to find somewhere to rotate without damage, and that's not easy at Le Mans.
It's not, but I tell you what's strange about that is that these cars have traction control, and you, over the course of a long race like this, especially when you're trying to be careful, you tend to run the setting quite high because you want to minimize your risk. You want to make life as easy as possible for the rear tires and make them last by not spinning them up. That, to me, looked like he got on the power as normal, expecting the TC to kick in, which gives you a bit of a heavy right foot because you just don't have to have that finesse.
Yeah,
but perhaps it didn't cut in and control the wheel spin as he was expecting.
Top 2 in GT Pro on pit road. Tommy Milner in the Corvette and Tony Vilander in the Ferrari. And I know our colleagues in Finland will be cheering him on. We've got a pair of GT aces in the commentary team there, teammates and rivals of Tony Vilander. So I'm sure that they will be hoping for a Finnish win, just as we're hoping for a British win for Ollie Gavin in the Corvette for Eurosport UK fans.
Yeah, we're watching the Corvette, but the Ferrari is also in the pit lane at the same time. So exactly the same happened on their last pit stops as well. So both those two cars running exactly the same stint on that set of tyres, and certainly there was no change of tyres there for the Corvette. We'll find out. There is the Ferrari. Is that the Ferrari? Yes.
That was the Ferrari leaving. That's the damage on the right rear. They had a tyre change as Mark Patterson jumped the curbs. Out come our top 2 in GTE Pro. on along Le Mans 24 Hours 2015, a degree of finger trouble creeping in. Martin Haber, Jeremy Shaw, and to my left-hand side, Sam Hancock in the booth. If you're following us on Twitter, I'm sure you'll have seen the pictures already as we watch the action. The G-Drive Ligier, is that moving at normal speed? Yes, it is. It's just the speed of the Porsche that makes it look like it's slowed down.
Such a difference. It makes it look positively pedestrian. Amazing. I was really enjoying during our commercial break. Unfortunately, the viewers wouldn't have seen it, but the director stuck with Mitch Evans in the Motorsport Gibson for quite a long time, and he's obviously really enjoying the balance of that car this morning. Beautiful to watch. He's setting a searing pace at sort of 3:38. Well, the class fastest lap when conditions are at their absolute peak was a high 3:36 set by his teammate Ollie Turvey. So good to watch Mitch Evans clearly on it and enjoying it on his Le Mans debut.
Yeah. You can see the P cars in the background. I was just looking to see how far away he is. He's about a minute and 45 seconds behind. So Mark Patterson has just pitted after having to spin a couple of laps ago. Wait and see whether he stays in the Murphy's prototype car in 4th place. Lawrence Van Toor, by the way, one of the quickest cars on track in P2 at the moment. Another personal best sector in Sector 2, which is about half the lap. He is in 5th place. And in 6th place is Rodolfo Gonzalez in the number 28, the other G-Drive Ligier Nissan. Let's just round out that class. The BR01 number 27 car from SMP Racing, David Makrosov in that car, ahead of John Fogarty's Ligier, the 31 ESM car. That's the remaining ESM car, isn't it? After the 30 car was rattled off the wall very heavily. And pit stop for Julien Canal as well in 26. That's the 2nd place car in LMP2. That's G-Drive as well, as Lawrence Van Toor comes in 34. Jeremy Shaw, you didn't warn us that the entire P2 field was coming down pit road in 30 seconds. Shame on you.
I was just about to, actually. When if you'd have taken a breath, I might have got in there.
I don't breathe.
Also, mate, what we were watching, I think, before the break also was the GT Pro drivers making their pit stops, and Jimmy Bruni took over from Tony Vielander, and the AF Corsa team did change tyres on that Ferrari, so that explains why there's now a 25-second gap between Tommy Milner in the Corvette and Jimmy Bruni in 2nd place in the Ferrari, and only another minute or so behind is Jörg Bergmeister in that number 91 Porsche.
It's amazing. Do we have any idea then, Jeremy, when Tommy Milner is likely to give up his seat and the car take on new tyres as well to even that balance back out and close the gap down again to within 10 seconds like it was before that round of stops?
Yeah, Milner, well, Milner was, he came in just a few minutes ago, and he has been at the wheel for, this will be his 2nd stint. So he just done 1 stint of an hour. We expect him to be driving for almost another hour before he comes onto pit lane, and then most likely he will hand over to Jordan Taylor.
And take tyres after those 2 stints.
And take tyres after those 2 stints.
For the viewers who can't
Although, in fact, they've been changing, but they didn't change tyres on this last pit stop, the Corvette, but they have changed tyres on the 3 previous stints each time.
Each time?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So the Corvette team obviously deciding that by running a softer compound tyre that doesn't last as long, the lap time benefit outweighs the net loss that you would get from making the tyres double or even triple stint and changing them only every so often.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, equally interesting is the mountain of very orderly paperwork and charts surrounding Jeremy Shaw right now. I've realised I'm working here with 2 cyborgs. We've got Jeremy, who doesn't need to sleep, and Martin, who doesn't need to breathe. It's absolutely fantastic.
You've got an automaton and a moron. All you got to do is work out which one. To leave where applicable. All you got to do is work out which one is which. Looking inside Porsches. So this is what the inside of Porsche looks like, then, is it? Oh, okay, that's fine. That's excellent. At least when Hanstuck comes here, we get a flavour of Porsche that you just can't beat.
It's funny, you know, I've had absolutely no problem getting in there.
Maybe they just don't like us old guys.
Right, where are we up to? So, the lead of the GT Pro battle is still tethered at a consistent 24-25 seconds following that last round of pit stops. And the lead of the LMP2 class is the only one where the top guys are... Actually, I was going to say they're on the same lap. They're not. The timing screen has just updated itself after that flurry of pit stops that we saw. And only person that is setting lap times that are among the cars very fastest in the race so far is down in the GT AM class. That is the Ferrari of Victor
Sarthe, who seems to be driving that. Well, he and Alex Bazov have done really sterling work in that number 72 car. They've both been fast. Andrea Bertolini is the pro in that car, and the other two seem to be driving a lot more than Andrea. And Victor Sarthe has just set the fastest lap in that car. So who needs a sort of semi-factory driver like Andrea Bertolini in your pro-am machine?
Well, listen, part of it surely is that they're not sort of meandering around in the midfield. They're trying to win this, and there's a whole different mindset. But I don't care who you are or where you come from. If you've got a chance to win it, suddenly things change.
They do, but this is where those last few hours of Le Mans throw up the sort of twists and turns that make it so interesting and force us to hold back any predictions. It's not over till it's over, because if you've got a situation like that where even the amateur drivers are required to push because there's a sniff of a win or a podium, chuck in fatigue, chuck in a lack of experience compared to the pro teammates, and that's when we start to see mistakes.
Yep. And that's one of the delights of this race, isn't it? You know, that you have these super fit, again, automatons, and guys who are regular Joes who are quite fit and have a bit of racing experience against these guys that have been doing it most of their lives. And that's, you know, it's an unfair battle of equals, but that's again part of the challenge. You know, anybody who comes in here up against Audi, 13 wins in 15 starts, that's an unfair challenge as well. Everybody's getting their sleeves rolled up. They're queuing up to come and have a go. Step in the ring, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's like a huckster booth. Come and fight the champion. There's the BR01 again.
Getting good airtime.
Wow, my boy.
What can we do? I know. What haven't we done yet to get some airtime?
He needs to slow down. That's what he
If only SMP Racing didn't have any money and needed the airtime. You know, it's not like they haven't got their colours on every car in every category.
Yeah, because that was the car we were talking about in GTE AM as well, number 72, SMP Racing Ferrari.
Et voila, the ELMS champions have stepped up to P2 and stay in a GTE AM.
So 2 consecutive laps for the other SMP2, the Ferrari car number 72, second place in GTE AM, trying to chase down Matthias Lauda in the class leading car number 98 Aston Martin, 357.226. Once again, for second lap running, the second lap running, the best lap that car has turned during this entire motor race, with almost 20 hours in the books. The car's still going awfully fast down into the pit lane, the BR Engineering 01. But meanwhile, Matthias Lauda 4 seconds slower again on that lap, but 1 minute 20 between the first two cars in GTE AM.
Lauda, is he the son of an Irish racing driver? I thought his dad was Austrian. Matthias Lauda, so that's... And he's leading in the 98 car. Jeff Segal as well. This little battle for third place behind Victor Sarthe. Jeff Segal at the moment with the whip hand in that 62 Ferrari, but Marco Seefried in the... And this is an all-American battle as well. All right, it's a Ferrari and a Porsche, and they're not the most wildly American cars, but it's a battle of two predominantly American racing teams. Scuderia Corsa, again, not the most American name you've ever heard, but a full American lineup, and the Dempsey Racing car as well, very much an all-American effort, if you like, even if not necessarily every member of the team.
Yeah, in conjunction with Proton competition, certainly, but you know, it's certainly the impetus comes from the US, no question about that.
Now look, guys, where is this rain? We've been threatening it, it's been threatened. I've walked outside a couple of times and thought, oh, here it is, there's a bit of moisture in the air, and it's just blown through. Whatever it was, it's just, there's no sign of it. I sort of feel like we could do with it, actually.
No, we could do with a shower, could maybe do with a little bit of sleep. What we don't want is rain, because what will be a grandstand 4 hours and 43 minutes will suddenly become a damp squib that we have to sit through with matchsticks propping our eyes open because we just can't drink any more coffee. What we don't want is rain.
When has Le Mans in the rain ever been a damp squib?
It ruins more races than it makes. You know it's a lottery. Cars are going to go off all over the place, and guaranteed, sure as eggs are eggs.
Hybrid EFTR error I have. Yeah, copy need. But we need another reset to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay, so here we go. That's why we don't need rain, because this technology is not proven. It's still got 2.5 Grand Prix to finish before we get to the end of the race. We've got Audi resetting their cars because their hybrid isn't working. We've now got Porsche resetting their cars. Control-Alt-Delete, I need that website, is getting a lot of airtime right now.
Yeah, it's a really uncomfortable feeling that for a driver. First of all, you've got to deal with the fact your hybrid system, which is very involved in decelerating the car, if it starts to fail, you're relying very much more on the braking system alone, and you lose braking power, which is obviously risky, disconcerting. Throw in the fact that your engineer's then telling you that at some point when you're hurtling down the straight, you've got to turn the whole car off. That's all systems, that's all drive, that's all lights. Not that we need them in the daylight, but this will have also been taking place through the night.
You must have your lights on, however. You may not need them to see, but you must have them on for visibility.
You must, but would you get penalised, would you even get spotted if you turned to do a Control-Alt-Delete reset and you turned your car systems off for 3 seconds on the pulsar?
No, that's not the problem. The problem is, as you say, it's not the turning it off. That's like taking off an aeroplane. Any fool can do that. It's the getting it to start again and getting everything to start again. If it restarts the engine, but you've got no power steering, no brakes, you're in a world of hurt then. Right. More technical dramas here at Le Mans.
Évidemment, l'équipage de la Porsche numéro 67
The rustle of biscuit wrappers as Sam Hancock finds a moment to shovel more food into his face. So we'll ignore him while he scoffs for a little bit.
Yeah, and that was without the aid of a driver helper.
Yeah, or an attractive young assistant.
He's just shoved it under his helmet there.
Onto pit road comes Stefan Sarrazin in the number 2 Toyota. Still in 7th place. Number 1 car still in 8th place. It's been a bitterly demoralising race for them. Beginning of the race, before the beginning of the race, Pascal Vasselon said if they were 2 seconds a lap behind, they'd be 6 minutes behind at the end. That's maybe a couple of laps. Got 4 hours to go. Leader has completed 315 laps. Best Toyota 308. They're already 7 laps behind. We've got another 4 hours to go. They're going to end up the better part of 10 laps adrift.
And that prediction,
with no problems.
And that prediction was without safety cars also, right?
Yeah.
Damien, last year you had some pretty clear observations and thoughts on the performance of the Toyota team, and when we took a pit walk the other day, we were passing by Toyota and...
Sorry, was that when yourself and Stewie all threw me under the bus?
Yeah, maybe something to do with that, but what are your thoughts on their performance this year?
I think their food is fantastic. And I'm going to make a visit there very, very shortly. But no, I mean, look, what can you say? They're 7th and 8th. I mean, does it really require me to say anything?
Honest to goodness, there's nothing we can possibly add to what Toyota already know. They know,
exactly.
They knew coming here, they may well have suspected after Silverstone and Spa, the first 2 rounds of the World Endurance Championship, they were going to be in trouble, especially after Spa, when cars appeared in low drag Le Mans spec and just still left them for dead. Okay, they knew they were in trouble, and there's nothing you can do at this late stage. There's not much you could have done, even if you'd known halfway through the winter. Dies are cast, and you just got to get on, suck it up, Buttercup, and finish the season. Try and make the best of it.
You
when
do.
Tracks fit you.
You do, they do, but I'm going to give them what credit is available for their performance. The fact is that we're getting to a point in the race now where Porsche and Audi are starting to struggle with hybrid problems, electrical problems. Many of those top cars have had to make unscheduled pit stops, or they've had to reboot their systems. At the moment, the only strategy available to Toyota in this year's running of the 24 hours, which is to go for an absolutely clean race, perfect reliability, no unscheduled stops, no contact with other cars, no offs. Anthony Davidson made contact, which did cost his car some time whilst they quickly repaired a front fender. That put him back behind the sister car, currently driven by Stefan Sarrazin. But that one has so far had a clean run. Not having a clean run is the SMP Racing, the number 72 car in the... that is Victor Shatar, who we saw was posting some fantastic lap times. He's 2nd in class in GTE AM. He's just skated off the road at the cambered left-hander down at Indianapolis just before Arnage. So easy to outbrake yourself. You come hurtling down the run from Mulsanne to the very fast right-hand kink into Indianapolis, and then hard on the brakes whilst also having to change direction. It's an incredibly tough ask of the car at such a high speed, and I don't know if we'll get a replay of it, but it looked, we're looking at a different shot now. Wow. Oof, this is Timo Bernhard.
Timo Bernhard nearly ramming another Porsche.
I think that was a kiss.
No.
Oh, so difficult.
An air kiss, was it?
Near.
No, air.
What you're seeing there looks, to the untrained eye, like it's defensive driving from a GT car. Why on earth would they do such a thing? It's not the case at all. It's just that much harder to place a GT car on the road, especially when it's on the way out of an extremely fast corner and having to turn and brake and change direction at the same time.
Race leader on pit road. Regular service for Nick Tandy. He sits in the car. Mini Cross's greatest Le Mans export, sitting in the lead car. Slow zone down at 23, 24, 25. That is the Indianapolis left-hander. So they'll be slowed before they get there. And in fact, they'll probably back it up, won't they, so that you're slowing on the straight to Indianapolis from the kink that caused all the problems earlier in the race for the number 8 Audi of Loic Duval, who's at the wheel at the moment now, so he's going to have to be doubly careful in that area.
With Nick Tandy in the car for, well, he's been in the car for quite a while now, hasn't he? The 4.5 hours left. Who do you think's they're going to put in there for the end of the race if they are still in the lead?
Jeremy has worked it out. Basically, they're triple stinting, so what happens is 2 drivers will do 1 set of triples more than the third, and they will normally, whatever order they go in the first 3 rounds of driver shifts, they will continue. So whoever was third in the car will be the one who doesn't do the final stint, unless something happens. So Victor Scheitar's car being retrieved from the gravel.
Now, at the moment, he has a 2-lap cushion over his nearest rival, the third-placed Ferrari, currently driven by Seagal. And if they can get that car out of the gravel on the crane pretty quickly, which it's not a long process, if it hasn't hit the wall too hard, he'll be able to carry on and probably not lose his position.
Sam, just a question. Something I saw there when Nick Tandy was in for that service. We just got a shot of him in the side window, and it looked like he was just screwing a dial with his right-hand thumb on the steering wheel. Just for the viewers, I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe you don't know what it is.
The thing is,
electric handbrake? No. But what do you think that might be?
Just searching through his iPod for a bit of Fleetwood Mac. keep him going. No, it's
chain.
They're all very different. All the steering wheels are different. There's no standard configuration. All the teams, especially the factory teams running hybrid systems, have their own unique settings, dial switches and requirements. But when you are stopped in the pit for a couple of seconds between stints, it's the only time where you do actually have a bit of a chance, just perhaps to flick through even your own personal data, you know, see the list of your lap times, check your consistency, check your fuel consumption.
And there's probably also some protocol there, some systems that he has to go through anyway with a stop.
Yeah, they're
preparing for the, you know, obviously for letting the clutch back out again.
Martin Haven has his hand up.
We've heard one of the Porsche drivers being told to control Alt-Delete on the track. It may well be that he was control Alt-Deleting in the pit lane, where if it didn't start immediately, he was close to help. Double wave yellows down here. This is the right-hander leading into the fast left at Indianapolis. Not going that fast here, in fact doing exactly 80 kilometers an hour. Victor Scheitar now on terra firma, and will spread gravel right in front of your race leader Nick Tandy, who can't go by him because Victor Scheitar has already accelerated up to 80 kilometers an hour. Now they're green, and so Tandy is free to get by, but of course he's got to make the pass now. So let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with live coverage to the very end of this race in 4.5 hours' time here on Eurosport.